Hello, wristwatch aficionados. What we have here is the Rolex Air King. I will be providing a review of this watch for you today. The Rolex Air King is really an interesting watch. It has a exceptional history, even amongst Rolex watches, which many of them are historic in their lineage. The Air King goes back to World War II. The Rolex Oyster watch was popular with British Air Force pilots, and the Royal Air Force um, pilots actually had these watches on their wrist, or some of them did during the Battle of Britain. And the founder of Rolex, Hans Wilsdorf, was so impressed that he released Oyster watches with the title of Air King, as well as a number of other Air title watches, Air Lion, Air Tiger. But the Air King in particular, which began production in 1945, is the only so-called Rolex Air watch that has continuously remained in production since its introduction. The other ones were phased out in the 60s. This particular Air King is considered a modern Air King. It has a number of modern design features as well as more traditional Rolex design features, and for that reason, I think it's a kind of a neat balance. So let's dive into that a little bit. You're looking at a black enamel dial with applied 5-minute markers and painted second and sub-second indices, as well as luminous markers by all of the applied indices. It's a Oyster because it is a waterproof case with a screwed or threaded crown, as well as a threaded case back. The threaded case back on these watches are one of the hallmarks of a Rolex case, because you need a special bit to open the case, and that ensures that the case doesn't get all marked up by a watchmaker repairing the watch, which is a very common problem with the caseback design of many watches. The bezel here is a unique bezel to the Air King. It's engine turned, which is just another fine manufacturing process, and has a number of brush and polished surfaces all over the watch. Polished sides. You've got pierced lugs here, brushed top of the lugs, and the bracelet. This is actually an aftermarket bracelet. I got this watch just in the last month, and have not been able to find a period correct bracelet for it, so I just have an aftermarket 19mm bracelet. Rolex bracelets from this era received a lot of criticism because they're frankly pretty easy to fake. It's hard to fake a Rolex perfectly overall in terms of having the standards of quality that Rolex has, but it's sure easy to make one that looks pretty fake. If you took the bracelet off of this, you would have all the correct serial numbers and information that would assure a collector like me that this is an authentic Rolex. It also has some sort of a cheaper Rolex trademarks. This green sticker at one point had the model number on it, but this particular watch is an N series Air King, which dates it back to 1991, so that sticker's pretty worn out. The reference number for this Rolex is 14010, and it's kind of a transition piece in between the vintage Air King, which had an acrylic crystal, and an older Rolex movement, and the modern Rolex Air Kings, which have the sapphire crystal that this watch has, a nice tall sapphire crystal that doesn't have any kind of coating, and modern Rolex movement as well. And the watch still retains a lot of kind of traditional Rolex elements. It's a shoulderless case design, pierced lugs, and the stick hands here are another kind of quintessentially Rolex design that are readable and just simple and handsome. So why the Air King? I think that it is representing just a tremendous value. So first of all, the Air King is for the record, the cheapest Rolex to get into, and a lot of people kind of maybe don't look at the watch most positively for that reason. I think that's actually a plus, because Rolexes are frankly pretty dang expensive. If you're buying a watch that is more expensive than the average person's car, that's certainly expensive. This watch is much more affordable than the standard Rolex sports watch that you would pick up at a dealer these days, especially if you get one that's missing the bracelet, as this one was. Yet it is thoroughly modern in terms of its movement. The movement is a 3000 series movement, which was used in this series of Rolex from 1989 to 2000. It's got a modern beat rate, so you can see it's got a nice smooth sweeping seconds hand here. I think there's something exceptional about the Rolex movement in terms of its durability. They have incredible reputations of never breaking or having very few problems mechanically, as well as in terms of the finished product. I mean, just look at that second hand. I just think it's so elegant and has a wonderful sweeping quality to it. I've got a picture of the movement here. Just let me focus here. As you can see, it has some elements of higher level finishing. You see engine turning and brush surfaces as well as some synthetic materials in the gearing. So it's definitely a modern movement. It's definitely not a super fine movement. None of Rolex's movements really are, compared to other extremely excellent Swiss watchmakers that are out there. So I got this watch just because I think it's so quintessentially Rolex. Black dial. It's rich and elegant and has a lot of depth with the different combination of applied and painted markers. It's got bulletproof movement, stainless steel, pierced lugs, shoulderless case, and of course got amazing provenance going back to World War II. I'll show you a wrist shot real quick. 34 millimeters on the wrist is definitely on the smaller side compared to many modern watches, but I think overall it wears really well. It's versatile. Could be worn dressed up or dressed down. If you put a strap on it, that changes the look quite a bit. I think that even though it's a smaller size and with the applied indices, it's definitely one of the more dress watches in Rolex's line that is casual enough where I don't feel like I can only wear it with a tux or something. End of the day, it's just an interesting Rolex watch that has a great story behind it, and it's a lot of fun to wear. So thanks a lot, and enjoy your wristwatch.